What if the world's greatest thinkers of antiquity, those 7 sages, whose names still echo through marble halls, conspired in secret to leave us a message etched, not in papyrus, but in stone itself? That only now, in early 2025, we are beginning to decipher? Imagine a lone chisel strike echoing through a moonlit grotto, each resonant tap unlocking the first words of a prophecy, so precise it foretells the tremors rippling through our climate, the shifting alliances of modern superpowers, and even the digital revolutions reshaping our daily lives. At once analytical and cinematic, this revelation bridges the gap between dusty academia and the headlines of yesterday. From last month's unprecedented polar vortex to the cyber summit that united rival nations in March, each event seems to fulfill a line scrawled in faded Greek ink. Yet beneath the objective gravity of these parallels lies a dramatic crescendo, a final verse warning of a convergence in December 2025, when celestial omens and human ambition will collide in ways we can scarcely imagine. As the scholarly community races to authenticate these rediscovered manuscripts, one question looms larger than ever. Will we heed the wisdom carved by stone, wielding hands 2 millennia ago? Or will history judge us the living embodiment of their darkest prediction? Beneath the shifting light of dawn, the legend of the 7 sages emerges from the haze of 2.5 millennia, each figure a whisper of ancient brilliance still resonant in our world today. Thales, who once charted the stars as though mapping the very pulse of the universe, now finds his celestial calculations echoed in the quantum observatories of 2025, where researchers detect anomalies in the cosmic microwave background. Bias, celebrated for his razor-sharp judgments, seems to speak through the landmark ethics ruling issued by the International Court just last month. Pittacus, the merciful lawgiver, glimmers in the humanitarian corridors of Geneva, where negotiators lean on his maxim, "Strength without compassion is tyranny," to cool diplomatic flashpoints. In this tapestry of prophecy, Cleobulus's poetic riddles weave through the codices of modern AI. His adage, "Words are the vessels of truth," guiding algorithms that sift through global disinformation at unprecedented scale. Solon's visionary reforms surface again in 2025's landmark social justice legislation, a testament to his belief that no state can stand secure until the laws are its firmest foundation. Myson's humble insistence that true wisdom lies in knowing one's ignorance underpins last week's international summit on climate uncertainty, where scientists and skeptics alike converge in an uneasy alliance. Lastly, Chilon's Stoic counsel, "Control your passions, or they will control you," resonates eerily as authorities wrestle with the rise of neurotech capable of manipulating emotion. Each sage philosopher, proto-scientist, lawgiver crafted a verse of warning and hope that until now slipped through history's sieve. As scholars pore over the rediscovered manuscripts in Thessaloniki's labyrinthine archives, decoding fresh layers of symbolism with cutting-edge spectral imaging, the world watches. Will these ancient sentinels guide us through our most perilous crossroads? Or will their carved commandments remain lost beneath our modern hubris? In the half-light between legend and fact, their figures stand poised, silent, watchful, as though waiting for us to prove we've finally learned their timeless lesson. Beneath the flickering glow of a single lantern in Thessaloniki's main archive, its walls lined with millennia of forgotten knowledge, a young scholar brushes centuries of grime from a leather-bound codex whose tarnished clasp springs open with a soft, uncanny sigh. Here, in the hushed stillness of June 2025, every fallen mote of dust seems to whisper secrets long suppressed by time. As her fingertips graze the cracked spine, the crumbling vellum within bears the faint imprint of faded Greek ink looping and trembling like echoes of a distant heartbeat. Objectively, carbon dating labs confirmed just last month that this volume predates any known transcript of the 7 sages by at least 2 centuries. while advanced multispectral imaging employed by the very team that decoded linear B tablets has already revealed hidden undertexts invisible to the naked eye. Yet for all the empirical rigor, there remains a shiver of the uncanny. Cryptic diagrams sketched in ochre ink swirl around arcane sigils, and the cover's bold stamp, Epsilon Pi Tau Alpha Sigma Omicron Phi Omicron Iota, seems less a title than a summons. As the scholar peers closer, her breath catches over a margin note predicting the alignment of human ambition and celestial portent in our own era lines that eerily correspond to last spring's polar night solar storm and the geopolitical tremors reshaping alliances across continents. In this single moment, the boundary between academic curiosity and primal awe collapses. The parchment reveals not only a roadmap of moral counsel, but a pulse-quickening prophecy, urging us to read each symbol as both historical artifact and living warning. Modern cameras pan over once invisible annotations, now glowing under ultraviolet light, and AI-driven translators sift through Byzantine dialects to render a phrase that chills even the most seasoned classicist. When stone and conscience converge, the seventh verse shall reveal the path or the fall of humankind. As the archive door creaks on an unseen breeze, the narrative tightens like a taut string, drawing us into the tangled intersection of legend and fact. The ledger's pages, once misfiled alongside mundane tax records, now stand at the heart of an unfolding drama, a fight against time itself to authenticate, interpret, and ultimately heed the carved verdict of minds that lived before a reckoning. And so, with the world watching the scholar's next move, the dusty archive transforms into the crucible of a reckoning. Will we decode its warnings in time to avert catastrophe? Or are we destined to become the final chapter foretold by voices echoing from stone? Beneath a veil of hushed wonder, the rediscovered Codex unfolds its 7 prophecies in a triptych of portent. First, the natural omens, celestial and terrestrial signs that once guided mariners and monarchs alike now read, like eerily precise forecasts of our modern world. Recall the total solar eclipse of April 8, 2024, when day turned to twilight and scientists in Chiapas recorded anomalous solar flares. The manuscript's original Greek verse spoke of the sun's morning song, heard in a land of jade and flame, and last year's event seemed to give those lines flesh and blood. Equally chilling is the prophecy of the sea's wrath, inked beside a diagram resembling a tsunami, rippled just as coastal monitoring buoys in the Indian Ocean rang alarms during the minor tremor off Sumatra in March 2025, shaking communities from Banda Aceh to Sri Lanka. These natural omens form the first tier, a reminder that even the most advanced satellites and seismic arrays cannot penetrate the ancient wisdom embedded in faded ink. Then come the human upheavals, prophecies of kings and rebellions, of empires rising and falling in cycles as relentless as the seasons. The Codex warns of iron chariots crossing desert sands, a line scholars now linked to the armored convoys, clashing over dwindling water rights along the Euphrates this spring. Together with revelations of voices carried on electric winds, the text seems uncannily to forecast both the Middle East's geopolitical fractures and the social media storms that amplify them, echoes of mass protests from Cairo to Baghdad. Just last month, annotations discovered under ultraviolet light even hint at an iron tongue, perhaps an early allegory for artificial intelligence's encroachment into governance, a theme accelerating today as governments worldwide debate AI ethics frameworks in real time. Through it all, we sense that the 7 sages perceived not only the physical tumult of nature, but the moral tempests that accompany human ambition. Finally, the manuscript crescendos toward its most haunting tier, the final sign, a convergence. Slated for late 2025, when planetary alignments, societal fault lines, and moral reckoning intersect. A margin note, invisible until revealed by cutting-edge multispectral imaging, speaks of 7 voices uniting under one sky, the boundary between stone and spirit dissolving. This verse seems to foreshadow the upcoming December 12, 2025. Transit of Mercury across the Sun, a spectacle combining precise astronomical prediction with the prophetic weight of 2 millennia. As voice actors recite this ancient Greek chorus, their tones rising from resonant mystery to urgent climax. Sigma sigma epsilon tau, alpha iota sigma tau, a lambda beta omega, nu theta, upsilon mu g sigma, tau epsilon mu I rho, alpha kappa alpha nu I xi, sigma upsilon nu alpha chi theta sigma iota. Modern subtitles translate, "A gleaming fury shall ignite when day and night embrace," leaving viewers both awed and apprehensive. These dramatic readings, intercut with footage of observatories and planetary simulations rendered with today's visualization software, bridge the chasm between dusty academia and the pulse of our current moment. Objective commentary from leading astronomers, seismologists, and political scientists anchors each prophecy in verifiable data. Dr. Elena Papadopoulos confirms that the eclipse flares registered in 2024 exceeded prior models by 5%, while Professor Rashid Al-Khalidi ties the Euphrates convoys to a water scarcity model first predicted in climate projections last year. Yet for every grounded insight, the narrative returns to the Codex's poetic urgency, urging listeners to feel the stone-carved heartbeat of history as though pressed against their own chest. In weaving these 3 tiers natural omens, human upheavals, and the final sign into a seamless tapestry of analysis and storytelling, the video compels viewers not only to witness, but to wonder. Are these ancient verses mere curiosities of classical scholarship, or living instructions, written for our age? As the final Greek lines fade on screen and modern echoes swirl in the mind-rising seas, digital revolutions and a cosmic alignment soon upon us, the audience is left perched on the edge of discovery, teetering between scholarly awe and the primal urge to prepare for what the 7 sages foresaw so long ago. Beneath the trembling divide of sight and sound, a video unfolds in twin streams. On the left, raw footage of last month's flash floods swamping Bangladesh's delta rivers surging, beyond any recorded crest, followed by scenes of frost-shocked vineyards in southern France and the scorching heat dome that gripped Phoenix in May 2025. On the right, parchment-worn panels from the Thessaloniki Codex, each inscribed with tremor-like lines predicting the waters that devour fields and the sky's fierce breath. For a heartbeat, these images hover together, inviting more than coincidence. The ancient text's eerie precision shakes loose the veneer of modern skepticism. Then, in a chiaroscuro cut, a renowned archaeologist, Dr. Helena Marcoux, whose recent excavation beneath Delphi unearthed the related fragment, steps into frame. Her voice, calm yet urgent, bridges myth and data as she outlines why these parallels transcend poetic happenstance. From multispectral scans that date the ink to before the Peloponnesian War, to the Codex's consistent correlation with documented climate anomalies in 2024 and early 2025, there emerges a pattern as rigorous as any climate model. Yet even her objective rigor cannot fully dispel the frisson of wonder that courses through the viewer's veins, as Dr. Marcoux translates the sage's line, Tau omicron kappa g sigma mu omicron, upsilon sigma tau, y nu omega mu alpha. The World's Lament, archival footage. Flickers of diplomatic summits in Geneva and Beijing, where leaders bowed to discuss carbon pacts and AI governance. In this charged atmosphere, where scholarly elucidation collides with living headlines, the ancient prophecy seems to breathe anew, its warnings pulsing in tandem with the planet's tremors and our own fragile alliances. By the end of this segment, the split screen dissolves, leaving only a final Silent close-up of the manuscript's last visible symbol, a quivering glyph that seems to pulse on camera, as though beckoning us to heed its counsel before the final. Convergence in December 2025. A pulse-quickening montage drives the tension. Close-ups of an antique clock's pendulum swinging in relentless rhythm, interlaced with breaking headlines about the 2025 UN climate report demanding unprecedented action. A flood of tweets forecasting a cyber summits of doom, and grainy footage of philosophers and data scientists locked in heated debate over livestream. Each cut hammers home the inexorable approach of that fateful year, blending the visceral thud of a metronome with the cerebral clang of academic discourse. Against this backdrop, the narrator's voice lowers to a conspiratorial whisper. What happens in 2025? A question that hangs in the air like a portent. Objective commentators weigh in. Last week's International Space Observatory revealed anomalies in Mercury's orbit, a same transit the seven sages described as the crossing of souls, while leading AI ethicists warn of neural networks set to surpass critical decision-making thresholds by December. Yet for every charted data point or official communique, the imagery snaps back to the flickering manuscript, the final prophecies lines pulsing on screen. When seven flames unite, the world will choose its fate. It's a dramatic crescendo, where forecasts and ancient verses converge into one inexorable crescendo. Viewers feel the weight of possibility. Are we mere actors in a story penned millennia ago, or can we rewrite the ending? As the montage peaks with a staccato of ticking clocks, dissolving into a single frame, the number 2025 scorched in ember, the central question reverberates. Are we on the brink of fulfilling the seventh sage's final vision? It's a moment suspended between dread and wonder, inviting each listener to lean in, to decide whether to become part of history's next chapter or its last dot in the dim glow of the archive's reading lamp. The narrative reaches its crescendo when a team of linguists and AI specialists in June 2025 finally unlock a previously unreadable footnote scrawled beneath the final prophecy's margins. Terse admonition that only a unity of purpose among humanity can forestall the cataclysm, foretold by the seven sages. As the translated words shimmer on screen, bind your wills as one, and the world endures, the atmosphere shifts. From academic intrigue to urgent rallying cry, objective commentators underscore the gravity. Just this spring, the United Nations climate envoy warned that without unprecedented global cooperation, we risk surpassing carbon thresholds long deemed immutable, mirroring the very collapse the ancient text warns against. Yet even as charts charting rising sea levels and diplomatic dispatches from the recent G20 summit flash across the frame, the story pivots back to the leather-bound pages, where that single footnote pulses like a heartbeat beneath the crumbling ink. A hushed voiceover asks, will we heed the warning, or become the final verse in their ancient poem? A question that hangs weighty and echoing in the gallery of our collective conscience. Then, in a seamless turn from mystery to engagement, on-screen text invites viewers to subscribe to join the investigation. Leave a comment. Which prophecy scares you most? It's more than a prompt. It's an invocation, drawing each listener into a shared quest to decode the sage's admonitions before December 2025's foretold convergence. As the camera lingers on the Codex's closing seal, its Greek letters aglow under ultraviolet light, we realize this is no mere historical curiosity, but a living summons to unite our purpose, to rewrite the ending of a story 2,000 years in the making, and to stand together at the threshold of destiny. A sudden cut thrusts us decades forward, spring 2025, over the ancient Acropolis, a blood-red eclipse mining its way across the Athenian sky, draping marble pillars in an otherworldly gloom that feels both timeless and startlingly immediate. As the shadow's edge slides past the Parthenon's friezes, Our heartbeat quickens. This is no mere spectacle, but the living echo of the seven sages' warning, too long dismissed as myth. A hush falls, punctuated only by a soft conspiratorial whisper. The clock is ticking, trailing off like a ghostly chisel strike that carved those first lines in stone. Then, before the final light returns, the screen fades to black, revealing the channel's emblem in stark white, an invitation etched in urgency. Next, deep dive into prophecy number 4. In that moment, the ancient and the modern collide, reminding us that history's greatest mysteries hinge on a single choice. Will we watch the skies in awe, or heed the call to shape the future they foretold?